Hi guys. I'm sitting on my porch, so if you hear some traffic going by, I apologize. I'm just trying to take in this beautiful weather outside. I did the Inside the Higher Ed track, so my article is from Inside Higher Ed, and the article is called Academics Push to Expand Use of AI in Higher Ed Teaching and Learning. And I thought this was a really interesting article because they talk about using artificial intelligence in higher education. The first that it talked about was called the Mandarin Project, and it's at a school called RPI located in upstate New York. And there's a bunch of students who are kind of immersing themselves in Chinese culture without having to leave the classroom. So they have built this classroom that is a 360-degree floor-to-ceiling classroom, and the student goes in there and they can communicate in Mandarin, and the artificial intelligence, there's a character like a floating panda head, and the students can like order food in Chinese or Mandarin, or they basically are tracking to see if their language skills are up to par, and then they can let them know if there's anything that is incorrect about the way they were speaking. And one of the things that they brought out in the article is that, even in a cultural immersion project where you're actually going into China and you're trying to speak Mandarin, people are not going to tell you if you're not speaking correctly, if you've made mistakes, but this artificial intelligence will actually tell you if you are or are not speaking correct Mandarin language. The one thing that I was thinking that stuck out in my mind was the cost to the school. I'm not really familiar with this institution, so they probably have a lot of money to pour into this. And I'm sure with it being a polytechnic institute, technology is of the utmost importance, so they probably have the money to spend on that, but I'm sure that a classroom like that would have to cost a great deal of money. Another thing that this article talked about was computerized teaching assistants, and I thought that was kind of interesting because one of the things said that the Georgia Institute of Technology, some of their students in the master's level online course began to figure out the difference between when artificial intelligence was being used to answer discussion questions or communicate back about discussion questions versus a human. And I thought that was very interesting. Obviously, it's not going to have that human personal touch, but they have been using it to answer some general questions about, when is this due, or can you explain more about an assignment that's been given. And so artificial intelligence could be used in that way, but they're saying it's to help support professors and not to replace them. And the other part of this article that I thought was kind of interesting, it actually talked about using artificial intelligence in higher education to connect with students, using it in things like recruitment, enrollment, retention, and those kind of things. And it said that students don't feel judged when they're asking questions that they think may be considered like a stupid question. And of course, with me being a financial aid person, I really liked the fact that it said, they might feel embarrassed if they came to the financial aid office to ask a question like, what's a FAFSA? Whereas if they were online and they were talking to artificial intelligence and they typed in on a chat bar, hey, what's the FAFSA? They wouldn't feel nearly as embarrassed. They feel like they could really ask that question and get an answer without being judged about their knowledge of financial aid. And I thought that was very interesting. I think artificial intelligence can be really good to a point. I'm sure we've all used it. I probably used it the last time that I went online to chat with Verizon, and I didn't even know it. But I think that it can be useful for different things in higher education. I just don't know that it's something that maybe our institution would be able to afford at ETSU. But I do think it's something that's very interesting to consider as a way to supplement teachers, because I know that professors can be very overwhelmed with the load of work that they're given. So I think it's very interesting technology, and I would look forward to seeing how that would work in a graduate online education class that I took sometime. Have a great day.